The human she could not ignore. The grand hall of Space Station Unity was filled with thousands of beings. Humans stood on one side. Aliens stood on the other. After 50 years of bloody war, today was the day of peace. But one human soldier was not celebrating. Captain Jake Morrison stood alone in the corner. His military medals shined on his chest. His face showed nothing. But deep inside his heart, a terrible storm was raging. He watched the aliens carefully. Their silver skin glowed under the bright lights. Their purple eyes looked strange to him. But he was not afraid of them. He was afraid of one alien in particular, Princess Lyra. She stood near her father, the Valoran king. She was beautiful. Her silver hair fell like water down her back. Her purple eyes were soft and kind. She smiled at everyone around her. Jake looked away quickly. He could not look at her because every time he saw her face, he remembered her brother, Prince Kale, the man Jake had killed 3 years ago. The war between humans and Valorans had been brutal. Millions had died on both sides. Jake had fought in the worst battles. He had seen friends die. He had killed enemies. He had done terrible things to survive. But nothing haunted him like the Battle of Nexus 7. That day, Jake had done something good. He had saved 40 alien children from a burning building. The Valorans called him a hero for this, but they did not know the full story. After saving those children, Jake had found Prince Kale hiding in the ruins. The prince was injured. He could not fight. He had raised his hands in surrender. "Please," the prince had said, "I have information. I want peace. Take me to your leaders." Jake had wanted to help him, but then his commander's voice came through the radio. "Kill him, Morrison. No witnesses. That is an order." Jake had hesitated. The prince looked at him with trusting eyes. "You have kind eyes, human," Prince Kale had whispered. "You saved our children. I know you are good. Please, protect my sister. She believes in peace." Then Jake pulled the trigger. He followed orders, and he destroyed his own soul. Now, 3 years later, Jake stood in the same room as Princess Lyra, the sister of the man he had murdered. She did not know. Nobody knew. The records were sealed. The commander had made sure of that. But Jake knew. And the guilt was eating him alive. Captain Morrison? Jake's body went stiff. He knew that voice. It was soft and gentle. It belonged to her. He turned slowly. Princess Lyra stood before him. Up close, she was even more beautiful. Her purple eyes looked at him with warmth and curiosity. "You are the human who saved our children at Nexus 7, she said. "I have wanted to meet you for a long time." Jake's throat went dry. He could not speak. "My brother Kale," she continued. "He sent me a message before he died. He spoke about a human soldier with kind eyes. A human who risked his life for alien children." Jake felt his heart breaking. He said if he ever met this human again, he would call him brother. Lyra smiled sadly. "I believe you are that human, Captain." Jake wanted to run. He wanted to scream. He wanted to tell her everything, but he just stood there, frozen. I should go," he managed to say. "Duty calls." He walked away quickly, leaving the princess confused and alone. Lyra watched him leave. She did not understand. Why did this human run from her? She had only wanted to thank him. There was something strange about Captain Morrison. Something hidden behind his eyes. Pain, guilt, fear. But fear of what? She was going to find out. That night, Jake stood alone on the observation deck. Stars stretched endlessly before him. He had not slept properly in 3 years. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Prince Kale's face. His communicator beeped. A message from Princess Lyra. "Captain Morrison, I know you are avoiding me. I do not understand why, but I want you to know something. My brother believed in peace. He believed in forgiveness. Whatever burden you carry, you do not have to carry it alone. Jake closed his eyes. Tears fell down his cheeks. How could he face her? How could he tell her that the man who saved those children was the same man who killed her brother? Some secrets were too heavy to share, but secrets never stay buried forever. And Princess Lyra was determined to uncover his. The walls he built around his heart. 7 days passed, 7 days of hiding, 7 days of running, 7 days of lies. Captain Jake Morrison had become a ghost on Space Station Unity. He moved through shadows. He ate alone. He slept with one eye open. All because of her, Princess Lyra. She was everywhere. In the dining hall, in the corridors, in the meeting rooms. And every time Jake saw her silver hair or heard her soft voice, he disappeared like smoke in the wind. But Princess Lyra was not a fool. She noticed everything. He is hiding something. Lyra stood in her private quarters, speaking to her personal guard, Commander Vex. He was an old Valoran warrior with scars on his face and wisdom in his eyes. The human captain? Vex asked. Perhaps he simply dislikes our kind, Princess. No, Lyra shook her head. I have seen hatred before. This is not hatred. This is fear. This is guilt. She turned to face the window. Stars sparkled in the darkness. When I mentioned my brother's name, his face changed. Just for a moment. But I saw it. What did you see? Lyra was quiet for a long time. Pain, she whispered. Deep, terrible pain. As if my brother's name was a knife in his heart. Vex stepped closer. What are you saying, Princess? Lyra's purple eyes grew hard. I am saying that Captain Morrison knows something about Kale's death. Something the official reports do not tell us. Meanwhile, Jake was fighting his own battle. He stood in the station's gym, punching a training bag with all his strength. Sweat poured down his face. His knuckles were bloody. But he did not stop. Every punch was for his guilt. Every punch was for his shame. Every punch was for Prince Kale. You will break your hands. Captain. Jake spun around. Admiral Richards stood in the doorway. He was a tall man with cold gray eyes and a smile that never reached them. He was also Jake's former commander, the man who had ordered Prince Kale's death. Admiral, Jake said stiffly, I did not know you were on this station. I go where I am needed. Richards walked closer. His boots echoed on the metal floor. I hear you have been avoiding the alien princess. Smart move. Jake said nothing. She has been asking questions, Richards continued. About Nexus 7. About her brother. About you. Jake's blood ran cold. What kind of questions? Dangerous questions. Richard's eyes turned dark. Questions that could destroy the peace treaty. Questions that could start another war. He grabbed Jake's shoulder hard. Keep your mouth shut, Morrison. What happened at Nexus 7 stays buried. The prince was an enemy. You did your duty. End of story. Jake pulled away. He was surrendering. He wanted peace. He was an alien. Richard's voice turned to ice. They are all enemies. This peace treaty is a joke. And soon, everyone will see that. He walked toward the door, then stopped. Stay away from the princess, Captain. That is an order. If you talk to her, if you tell her anything. He smiled coldly. Accidents happen on space stations. People disappear. Remember that. He left. Jake stood alone. His heart pounding. Richards was planning something. Something bad. And Jake was trapped in the middle. That night, the station's alarm systems failed. It was only for 30 minutes. A small malfunction, the engineer said. Nothing serious. But during those 30 minutes, Someone broke into Lyra's quarters. They did not steal anything. They left something. A message written in blood on her mirror. Stop asking questions or die like your brother. Lyra did not scream. She did not cry. She simply stared at the bloody words with cold fury in her eyes. Someone on this station had killed Kale. Someone was afraid of what she might discover. Now that someone wanted her dead. Good. Let them come. Was Princess Lyra of the Valoran Empire. Her ancestors had conquered galaxies. Her blood carried the power of ancient warriors. She was not afraid. She was angry. The next morning, Lyra made an announcement. I am hosting a dinner tonight. All senior officers must attend, including Captain Jake Morrison. Jake received the invitation on his communicator. His hands trembled as he read it. He could not avoid her anymore. He could not run. He could not hide. Tonight, he would face the princess. And somewhere on this station, Admiral Richards was watching, waiting, planning. The hunter had become the hunted. But who was hunting whom? The game of shadows had begun, and only one side would survive. The dinner of shadows. The dinner hall was beautiful. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling. Golden plates covered the long table. Soft music played in the background. Important humans and Valorans sat together, laughing and talking. But underneath the smiles, darkness was waiting. Captain Jake Morrison entered the hall slowly. His dress uniform felt like a prison. His heart beat like a war drum. He scanned the room carefully. There she was. Princess Lyra sat at the head of the table. She wore a flowing silver gown that matched her skin. A crown of tiny stars rested on her head. She looked like a goddess, but her eyes were not soft tonight. They were sharp, searching, hunting. And when those purple eyes found Jake, they locked onto him like a predator finding prey. There was no escape now. Jake took his assigned seat. Unfortunately, it was directly across from the princess. He could feel her gaze burning into his skull. Captain Morrison, Lyra said smoothly, I am so pleased you could join us. I was worried you might disappear again. Several officers chuckled politely. Jake forced a smile. I would never miss such an important event, Your Highness. Important indeed. Lyra lifted her glass. Tonight, we celebrate peace. But peace is built on truth, is it not? Without truth, peace is just a beautiful lie. Her eyes never left Jake's face. He felt sweat forming on his back. She knows something, he thought. She is testing me. From the corner of his eye, Jake saw Admiral Richards sitting at the far end of the table. The Admiral was watching them both with a cold, calculating stare. A warning. Jake was trapped between two dangerous forces. The princess who wanted truth, and the Admiral who would kill to keep secrets buried. The dinner continued with painful slowness. Course after course arrived. Conversations flowed around the table. But Jake could not eat, could not speak, could not breathe properly. Then Lyra made her move. Captain Morrison, she said loudly, making sure everyone heard. I have been reading about the Battle of Nexus 7. Fascinating story. You saved 40 of our children that day. The table went quiet. All eyes turned to Jake. I was just doing my duty, Jake said carefully. Such modesty. Lyra smiled, but her eyes remained cold. The reports say you entered a burning building 3 times. You carried children through fire and smoke. You nearly died. Many soldiers did brave things that day. Yes, Lyra leaned forward. But the reports also mentioned something strange. My brother, Prince Kale, was at Nexus 7. He died that same day, in the same area where you were fighting. Jake's blood turned to ice. Interesting coincidence, do you not think? Lyra continued. The human hero and the Valoran prince. Same battle, same location, same hour. The silence in the hall was deafening. Admiral Richards stood up suddenly. "Princess, perhaps this is not the time for—" "Sit down, Admiral." Lyra's voice cracked like thunder. "I am speaking to Captain Morrison." Richards sat, but his eyes promised death. Lyra turned back to Jake. "Did you see my brother that day, Captain? Did you meet him before he died?" Jake's mouth opened. No words came out. The truth was right there, burning in his throat like acid. He wanted to scream it. He wanted to confess everything. But then he saw Richard slowly moving his hand toward his belt. Toward his hidden weapon. If Jake spoke the truth now, he would die. Right here. In front of everyone. And Lyra would die too. "I saw many things that day, Princess," Jake finally said. His voice was hollow, empty. "War is chaos. I do not remember every face." Lyra's eyes flickered with disappointment. She knew he was lying. They both knew. But before she could respond, the lights went out. Complete darkness filled the hall. Screams erupted. Chairs crashed. Glass shattered. Jake moved on instinct. He jumped across the table, grabbed Lyra, and pulled her to the floor. Laser blasts shot through the air exactly where her head had been. Someone was trying to kill the princess. "Stay down," Jake shouted. He covered her body with his own as more shots flew overhead. In the darkness, he could hear fighting. Guards shouting. Bodies falling. Then emergency lights flickered on. Red light filled the hall like blood. Jake looked around. 3 Valoran guards were dead. 2 human officers were wounded. And Admiral Richards was gone. Disappeared. Like a ghost. Lyra pushed Jake off and stood up. Her silver gown was torn. Her crown had fallen. But her eyes burned with fire. "Someone just tried to kill me," she said quietly. "Someone who knew exactly where I would be sitting." She looked at Jake. "You saved my life, Captain. You knew the attack was coming." Jake shook his head. "I did not know. I just reacted. You are lying again." Lyra stepped closer. "But this time, you lied to protect me." She grabbed his collar and pulled his face close to hers. "No more games, Captain. No more running. Tonight, you will tell me everything. About Nexus 7, about my brother, about why someone wants us both dead." Her purple eyes bored into his soul. "Or I will find the truth myself. And I promise you, I will not be gentle." The truth that shattered everything. The safe room was cold and silent. Jake sat on a metal chair, his hands covered in blood from the attack. Lyra stood across from him, her torn gown hanging like broken wings. 2 guards waited outside the locked door. They were alone, finally. "Talk," Lyra commanded. Her voice was steady, but her hands were shaking. "Tell me everything now." Jake looked at the floor. His whole body felt heavy. 3 years of secrets. 3 years of nightmares. 3 years of drowning in guilt. Tonight, it would all end. "Your brother," Jake began, his voice barely a whisper, "did not die in combat." Lyra's breath stopped. "He was murdered. I found him in the ruins of Building 7, Jake continued. "After I saved the children. He was hiding behind broken walls, injured, bleeding, alone." Lyra moved closer. Her purple eyes were wide with pain. "He saw me and raised his hands. He said he wanted to surrender. He said he had secret information. Plans for peace. Names of Valorans who wanted to end the war." Jake's voice cracked. "He begged me to help him. He said if I took him to Earth's leaders, he could stop the killing. Millions of lives could be saved. Then why?" Lyra's voice trembled. "Why did he die?" Jake finally looked up. Tears streamed down his face. "Because I was not alone. My commander was listening through my radio. Admiral Richards." Lyra's eyes went dark. Richards heard everything. He panicked. If Prince Kale reached Earth with his peace plans, the war would end. And Richards did not want peace. Why not? Because war made him powerful. War made him rich. He sold weapons to both sides. He had secret deals with criminals. Peace would destroy him. Jake stood up slowly. His legs felt weak. Richards gave me an order. Kill the prince. No witnesses. Make it look like combat. Lyra stepped back. Her silver skin had turned pale, and you followed that order. It was not a question. It was a knife. Yes. Jake's voice broke completely. I followed the order. I raised my weapon. Your brother looked at me with trust in his eyes. He still believed I would help him. Jake fell to his knees. His last words? I hear them every night. Every single night for 3 years. What did he say? Lyra whispered. Jake looked up at her with broken eyes. He said, protect my sister. She is the hope of our people. Promise me, human. Promise me you will keep her safe. Lyra's hand flew to her mouth. Tears poured down her cheeks. I promised him, Jake continued. I looked into his eyes and promised. Then I pulled the trigger. The silence that followed was heavier than any explosion. Lyra did not speak for a long time. She stood frozen, like a statue of ice. Her mind was spinning. Her heart was breaking into 1,000 pieces. This human had killed her brother. This human had also promised to protect her. This human had saved her life tonight. Nothing made sense anymore. Why? She finally asked. Why did you follow that order? You could have refused. You could have saved him. Jake shook his head slowly. Richards had snipers watching. If I refused, they would have killed us both. Kale would still die, and his message would die with him. He pulled something from his pocket, a small data chip. Before I killed him, Kale gave me this. He said it contained everything. Peace plans, evidence against Richards, names of allies on both sides who wanted to end the war. Lyra stared at the chip. I have kept it hidden for 3 years, Jake said, waiting for the right moment, waiting for someone I could trust. He held out the chip to Lyra. Your brother died for peace. His dream does not have to die with him. Lyra took the chip with trembling hands. You kept this. All this time? I made a promise. Jake's eyes met hers. I failed to save your brother, but I will not fail to protect you. Even if you hate me, even if you want me dead, I will keep my promise until my last breath. Something shifted in Lyra's eyes. The anger was still there. The pain was still burning. But underneath it all, something new was forming. Understanding. You are not the monster I expected, she said quietly. I am exactly the monster you expected, Jake replied. I just hate myself for it more than you ever could. Lyra knelt down in front of him, face to face, eye to eye. My brother saw something in you, something good. Even at the end, he trusted you with his dream. With my life, she touched Jake's blood-stained hand. I do not forgive you, human. Not yet, perhaps not ever. But I believe you. And right now, that is enough. Suddenly, the lights flickered. A loud boom shook the station. The guards outside started shouting. Gunfire echoed through the corridors. Jake jumped to his feet. Richards. He is making his move. The door exploded inward. Smoke filled the room. Through the chaos, a figure emerged. Admiral Richards stood in the doorway, weapon raised, soldiers behind him. Touching confession, Morrison, Richards said with an evil smile. Too bad no one else will ever hear it. He aimed at Lyra. The princess dies tonight. The peace treaty dies with her. And war begins again. Jake stepped in front of Lyra, shielding her with his body. "You will have to kill me first." Richards laughed coldly. That was always the plan. His finger moved to the trigger. The love that saved two worlds * Admiral. Richards stood in the doorway like death. Itself. His weapon pointed directly at Princess Lyra. His soldiers filled the corridor behind him. Red emergency lights made his face look like a demon from ancient nightmares. "Move aside, Morrison," Richards commanded. "This does not concern you anymore." Jake stood firm. His body was the only shield between Lyra and death. "You will not touch her." Richards laughed. It was a cold, empty sound. "Still playing hero? You killed her brother, Morrison. You are a murderer. And now you want to protect her?" He shook his head. "Pathetic." "I was a murderer," Jake replied, "because I followed your orders. Because I was weak. Because I believed your lies." He took a step forward. "But not anymore. Tonight, the truth comes out. Tonight, you lose everything." Richard's smile faded. "Kill them both." The soldiers raised their weapons. Time seemed to slow down. Jake knew he could not win this fight. 10 soldiers. One unarmed captain. Impossible odds. But then something happened that no one expected. Lyra stepped forward. Her eyes began to glow bright purple. Her silver skin started to shine like starlight. Energy crackled around her hands. "You made a mistake, Admiral," she said. Her voice echoed with ancient power. "You forgot what I am." Richard's eyes went wide with fear. "The royal bloodline," he whispered. "The old power. My ancestors conquered galaxies." Lyra raised her hands. "Did you think I was just a pretty princess?" She released her power. A wave of purple energy exploded from her body. It hit the soldiers like a hurricane. Men flew through the air. Weapons melted. Walls cracked. When the light faded, only Richards remained standing. His armor had protected him, but barely. "Impressive," he growled. "But you cannot do that again. That power drains you." He was right. Lyra collapsed to her knees, exhausted. The ancient power had taken everything from her. Richards smiled and raised his weapon. "Goodbye, Princess." Jake moved faster than he had ever moved in his life. He grabbed a fallen soldier's weapon and fired. The blast hit Richards' arm. The Admiral screamed and dropped his gun. But Richards was a warrior, too. He pulled a knife from his belt and charged at Jake. The two men crashed together like thunder. They fought with fists and fury. Jake was younger and faster. Richards was stronger and more experienced. Blood flew. Bones cracked. Neither man would surrender. "You should have stayed silent, Morrison." Richards punched Jake's face. "You could have lived." Jake tackled him to the ground. "Some things are worth dying for." They rolled across the floor, fighting for the knife. Richards got on top. He pressed the blade toward Jake's throat. "Any last words, traitor?" Jake looked past Richards. He saw Lyra struggling to stand. He saw the data chip lying on the floor nearby. Prince Kale's dream. The hope for peace. "Yes," Jake whispered. "I kept my promise." He headbutted Richards with all his strength. The Admiral fell backward. Jake grabbed the knife and drove it into Richards' shoulder. The Admiral screamed in agony. Jake stood up, breathing hard. Blood covered his face. His body was broken, but he was alive. Richards lay on the floor, defeated. "It is over," Jake said, but Richards started laughing. "Over? No, Morrison. It is just beginning." He pressed a button on his wrist device. An alarm started blaring throughout the station. Self-destruct sequence activated. Richards grinned through bloody teeth. "If I cannot have my war, no one survives." This station explodes in 5 minutes. Everyone dies. Humans, Valorans, everyone. Jake's heart stopped. 5 minutes. Thousands of innocent people. One impossible choice. The override code is in my head. Richards tapped his skull. Kill me and everyone dies. Let me go. And I stopped the countdown. Jake looked at Lyra. She had finally stood up, weak but determined. He is lying, Lyra said. He will never stop it, maybe. Jake turned back to Richards. But I have another option. He grabbed Richards and started dragging him toward the door. What are you doing? Richards shouted. The main computer, Jake said. Your override is not the only way. Lyra has the data chip. Your chip. It contains all your codes. All your secrets? Richard's face went white with terror. No. That is impossible. Your brother was smart, Jake said to Lyra. He collected everything, including Richard's personal security codes. They ran through burning corridors. 4 minutes left. Lyra plugged the chip into the main computer. Her fingers flew across the controls. Sweat poured down her face. 3 minutes. I found it. She shouted. Richard's master codes. 2 minutes dot, she entered the override sequence. 1 minute. The screen flashed red. Then green. Self-destruct canceled. The alarm stopped. The station fell silent. They had one. Richards was arrested by station security. His crimes were broadcast across the galaxy. The truth about Prince Kale's death. The weapons deals. The corruption. Everything. The peace treaty was saved, and something else was born. 1 week later, Jake stood on the observation deck. Stars sparkled in the endless darkness. For the first time in 3 years, he felt peace. Footsteps approached behind him. You are alone again, Captain. Jake smiled. He knew that voice. Old habits, Princess. Lyra stood beside him. Her silver skin glowed softly. Her purple eyes were warm now, kind. My father wants to meet you, she said. The human who saved his daughter, who exposed the truth about Kale. I killed his son. You also honored his memory. You completed his mission. Lyra took Jake's hand. You gave us peace. Jake looked at their joined hands. Human and Valoran. 2 species who had killed each other for 50 years. What happens now? He asked. Lyra smiled. It was beautiful. Now we build something new. Together. She leaned closer and kissed his cheek. My brother saw goodness in you, Captain. He was never wrong. She touched his face gently. And neither am I. Jake felt tears in his eyes. But for the first time, they were not tears of pain, that they were tears of hope. The war was over. The healing had begun. And somewhere among the stars, Prince Kale was smiling.